Hello and welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from the biblicalnutritionist.com, and today it's about making yogurt. Two simple ingredients, different ways you can make this in your own home today, and why you should learn how to make your own yogurt. I'm going to be using the recipe out of my cookbook, the Healthy Treasures cookbook. When we make the yogurt ourselves, we know exactly what's in it, and none of the additives have been allowed to be in our precious yogurt. Well, yogurt is a food back centuries, many centuries ago, and it's always been a food. It started with the sheep and the goats, and then it became more of a dairy, more of a cow process. Well, there was a book out in the early 1920s. It was called Intestinal Gardening for Prolonged Youth. Well, today we're going to do some intestinal gardening and making our own yogurt. Yogurt is so simple to make. All you need is a milk and then you need a culture. So that's all it is. But yet when it's allowed to ferment, the bacteria take on this whole new process that creates a barrier in your digestive system. So the bad bacteria, which we come in contact with continually, cannot get into your body. So it's a protective lining. I teach about this in the 7 Foods of the Promised Land. Barley does the same thing. It creates this protective barrier on your intestinal lining, and it's like, no foreigners allowed in here. Well, that's what a really good yogurt will do for you. Now, I don't want you buying yogurts in this store unless it is the super highest quality grade possible. No sweeteners, no fruit, not even the vanilla flavored, not berries or any of that. I don't want it in a tube. I don't want it in a stick. I just want pure yogurt. Today I'm going to be using 2 different milks. As you can see, I'm using an unsweetened. This is a vanilla flavored milk. I'm using it not because I prefer to use a vanilla flavored milk. I just told you no, but I wanted to show you how well it works in making yogurt. Because it's not that you can't use this. I just prefer we don't have any extra additives. But you may have this on hand, so I don't want you to throw it away. I want you to see how it works. And this is actually a raw milk that I get from a farmer nearby. So we're going to need milk and we're going to need some cultures. So I have some yogurt here that we're going to use. Next, all we do is cook. And then we'll get to the cooling and then we'll get to the fermenting process. Make sure whatever cookware you use and your utensils are perfectly clean. They've been sterilized, possibly in the dishwasher or very hot water. We don't want any contaminants when it comes to working with bacteria. At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and start my second one with the almond milk. And as you can see, I get to use my fun spoon, taste and see that the Lord is good. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one started as well and just watch both of them, keeping an eye on their cooking process. The purpose of the cooking is not to get rid of any bad bacteria. It's actually to concentrate the proteins. And this is what gives us the yogurt texture. And then when we add the yogurt bacteria to it, then we start growing the fermentation process. Now, hopefully you have so you can see we are going all the way up to, we're all the way up to 170. So I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. I'm going to let it reach 180, but I don't really want it going a lot more than that. And I'm just going to let it cook for just a little bit. And that's that time process that we're talking about. So in the old days, you would cook it at 185 for about 10 minutes, and then we would let it cool. So we're just going to let it hover there just a little bit, get it to that point. We're at that point now. We're just going to let it cook there for just a few minutes, and then we'll start the cooling process. The more we cook it at the hot temperature, the better consistency of the yogurt will be as well. Now we've cooked the raw milk at this temperature for several minutes, so I'm going to turn the heat off and let that start to cool down. And also to speed up the cooling down process, I'm going to transfer it to my favorite mixing bowl here. And that will just speed up the cooling. As you can see, the almond milk now is at the temperature that we like, so we're just going to turn that heat down and let it cook there for a few minutes to make sure those proteins are ready to be turned into yogurt. I have both of them cooling now. I want to get them down to 110 degrees. I went ahead and poured out a little bit of the raw into this bowl so it can start cooling down a little bit quicker so I can add the yogurt in that. I'm going to do the same with this batch, put a little bit in this bowl to let it start cooling down, and then we'll go to the next step. Now, as you can see, the section that I already took out to mix in the yogurt is down to 110. So I'm going to mix in the yogurt into that piece, and then we can add it into the big batch. So I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of yogurt. I'm just going to start with half of it at first, and then blend that up. Then I'll add a little bit more of the milk, blend it up, and then we'll add it to the full batch. My almond milk has cooled down, so I can add the yogurt to that. You're just adding a tablespoon at a time of the yogurt. I don't want it to be too hot, or then we kill off the bacteria. And then I don't want to add it to my big batch until my big batch is down to 110 or a little bit less. Total of 2 tablespoons of yogurt. The cookbook says 1 to 2. I found that 2 works a little bit better, so I always use 2. Mix that up really well, and our yogurt in the big container is at a perfect temperature to go ahead and mix the 2. So let me blend it up well here, and then I'm going to mix this in with this. Again, I don't want the yogurt to get over 110 degrees because then I lose the bacteria. All right, that batch is ready. Let's look at the almond milk batch. I've already mixed part of the yogurt together. Let me check my temperature. A little bit too close to 120, so I need to wait for that to cool down. In the meantime, I'll take care of the other batch. I'm going to pour my raw milk yogurt into this baking dish, and this is what we're going to put in the dehydrator. It fits perfectly. Now, the raw milk one, you can see I've got it tilted in. This is thick enough that I can just scoop it out. Not as thick as a Greek yogurt, but definitely in the consistency that you're used to with a yogurt. So I can totally scoop this out, and you have the consistency that you're looking for with yogurt. And so this definitely is the winner for today. This doesn't stop me from using fermenting with almond milk, but I may want to make my own almond milk. But I really prefer a dairy yogurt. So whether it's sheep or goat or a cow that you know where the cow was raised, I'm still going to use more of a dairy yogurt. I just prefer it. It has really good protein content, and it gives me the consistency that I'm looking for in making recipes or just enjoying it for breakfast. I hope this has been very helpful for you to realize anyone can make yogurt. You don't need to buy an expensive yogurt maker. Either use your dehydrator, the oven, or just a really warm room. Give it the time that it needs to ferment, and then enjoy the blessing of what we have. Well, thanks again for letting me share with you God's recipe for excellent health. Here's to an Amen Day. Thanks for watching.
Struggling with cravings, fatigue, or confusion about your health? You're not alone. But you don't have to stay stuck. Get the free Bible Health ebook and discover 7 powerful steps to real, lasting transformation God's way. Break emotional eating. Learn what truly satisfies. Align your health with God's truth. This is your breakthrough. Get your free Bible Health ebook now on the website, thebiblicalnutritionist.com. It's time to take the first step toward vibrant health, both physically and spiritually.